Well, greetings everybody and welcome to this week's edition of the Inworld Review. This is a program where we look at arts, destinations and moreover the people who inhabit the hypergrid. Now, for those of you who don't know, the hypergrid is a network that blends a whole load of virtual worlds together so people can teleport from one place to another across what we call grids, different server instances. Rather similar to the oldie Second Life, you may have heard of that, although Second Life is a walled garden, so you can't actually teleport anywhere except within the garden. But here, you're in the wonderful Wild West, so to speak, or the wild world, and you can teleport just about anywhere. So it's a vast landscape for us to choose from. And to add to this program, we also have a thing called Hypergrid Safari once a week, which only has 2 destinations a week, and they add up, but they still barely cover the wealth of material out there. Anyway, that's the rough idea to what we're talking about here. My name is Mal Burns, if you don't know already. On my right-hand side, I have the wonderful James Atloud, who is the button pusher, knob fiddler, sitter in general. Welcome, James.
Oh, thank you, Mal. And I love our theater today. And I've got a lovely thick avatar right over my right shoulder. So this is a very thrilling day today.
It is. It's
Yeah,
yes. It's a cast of thousands.
cast of
In the form of
thousands.
in the form of one person, but that will come
Right,
to that later.
right,
It's
right.
intriguing. Yes. And to my left, I've got the wonderful, she's host of, she convenes Hypergrid Safari, does all this wonderful work behind the scenes, chasing down people, even for this show and everything. Couldn't live without it, basically. It's Thirza Ember, so welcome, Thirza.
Oh, thank you, Ma. I couldn't live without you. So that's good.
Oh,
Nice to be here today.
There we are. Bit of sound effect for you there as well. Okay. Joining us on the esteemed couch, or settee, or whatever you want to call it, really, we're also joined by Kimm Starr, whom we will be talking to in about 10 minutes, but and there's a lot to talk about there, so I'll introduce her when we get round to that bit, but for the moment I'll just say hi to Kimm Starr. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Okay. So, to getting ready to move on, so to speak, we like to start this show off with just a little sort of a short program called the Hypergrid Happenings, which is basically just, some poster material and stuff with Thursday introducing what's going on this week. So, I think I can, when I see the title screen come up, I can actually hand over to Thursday for the Hypergrid Happenings.
I also am waiting for the title screen.
Very
Yeah,
good.
it's not coming up today, so I'm just going to go to the first screen.
Okay, I'll
And
play
Okay.
the
then,
intro music for that then. Here we go.
sure. Yeah, it's Hypergrid Happenings, and my screen has been stolen, I think, by one of these Animesh. Some of these guys look extremely dodgy. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure one of them ran away with my titles. Anyway, just wanted to mention to
I
you,
see a hat twirling around, and I reckon she's put a spell on you. Cue the music.
it could be.
Oh, oh.
Put a spell
So
on
first up
you.
is today is the last day of the Festival of Lights over on Littlefield Grid. If you haven't been, do go. It's a beautiful region called Luminaria. They had a big party yesterday, but the region is still there, so you can take a nice look just to finish celebrating 12th night on Littlefield Grid. So run over there today if you can. Another thing that's happening this week, of course, is Clan. We all love to hear Clan sing, and here's a fabulous build, of course, by our delightful Webby Merlin. And this is going to be happening on Monday. It's at 1 o'clock Second Life time or Grid time, which is around 10 o'clock here in Europe. And he's going to be singing on the roof, so you can't really miss that, can you? What a sight! Sort of echoing the Beatles or something.
Yeah,
there.
the Beatle roof concert.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Another thing that's happening this week is that we have the safari, and that's on Wednesday. It's at 12 noon Pacific or Second Lifetime, if you prefer to call it that. And we're doing 2 things, as always. One thing is to go and take a last look at the HIE, the Hypergrid International Expo build, which was all those little booths that we had in the grounds of the HIE. We're going to say goodbye to those booths. This is the end of the 2023 season and beginning to think about 2024. So if you're interested in being part of that expo in 2024, this is definitely an event you want to be at, because there'll be some information given
And
out.
for the benefit of people listening, the date scheduled is actually April for this year. So if you are interested, get hold of us quick, I think.
And the second place we'll be going to is called Treasure Island. It's by Toots Sabelin, of course, co-owner of Pangaea Grid, and this is a beautiful region. It's just got all the romance and remarkable buildings and little streets and the port area, built by Toots some time ago. She's a really prolific builder. And if you don't know her work, definitely worth taking a trip. Bring your pirate outfit. Here's a place that you may not have gone to yet, and you definitely should. It's Dismayland. Right, I forgot to put the code in. I forgot to put the address, but I'll slip that. I'll get to Mal to slip that address into the comments in the video so that you can go and visit Dismayland soon. It was offline for a while, but it's back up now. Spax has put it back up online, and we were there today. We just had we just took an hour out of our lives. It was supposed to be 5 minutes, but you get so caught up in this place that it's just unbelievably fun.
I'm just trying to imagine being on that roller coaster with a giant squid in the foreground waiting for me to land. No. Love the title.
Another thing.
Yeah. Sorry.
Another thing you might want to write down is OS Fashion 3. This is a fashion blog. It's by Forest Azure. And she set up this blog that talks about all the different places where you can find clothes for the guys, for the girls, and not just fashion. There's all kinds of accessories as well on her blog. It's fairly new, but it's really worth you subscribing to it to find out all those hidden places that you may not realize are out there offering good stuff for the girls and the boys too. This obviously is a big piece of news this week. It's the fact that OS Grid is migrating. So that means that on Wednesday at 4 o'clock Second Life time, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the grid will be coming offline and hopefully back up online Saturday, Sunday, something like that. That's the plan. So if you do have sensitive assets on OS Grid, this would probably be a good time to copy them onto a different grid look forward to this
who uses
change
OS
that's
Grid?
happening.
I can't think of who's using OS Grid right now.
Well, there's one or two people. Anyway, it happens immediately after the Safari, so we have plenty of time to go on Safari, so don't worry about that. It won't be going offline until well after we finish going on Safari. So if you are planning on using your OS Grid avatar, you won't have a problem. Just another mention of Tropicana. Of course, Tropicana is part of OS Grid. And you may be thinking, well, heck, what do you do if your grid goes offline for 4 or 5 days? Well, a lot of people have done exactly what Mike Townsend has done on Tropicana. He has his own grid so that you can actually join that grid. If you haven't already joined it, you can sign up for it. The people who tend to use Tropicana's regions can quickly get a new new avatar, and so that they can just carry on having all their good fun over there on Tropicana, even if OS Grid is offline. So just a reminder for everybody that if you do have a special event, a project, a party, perhaps you have some kind of art opening happening, or you teach a class, anything that's coming up on your grid that you would like us to talk about, let us know, and we will include it here on Hypergrid Happenings.
Oh, good time to croak. Right, thank you, Thirza, for that wonderful roundup of what's going on. Okay, before we look at our brief look at Safari last week, some other news that did break. I've got a page up on screen here, which is, let me see, danielvoyager.wordpress.com. So it's DANIELVOYAGER. wordpress.com. Daniel reports on, well, a lot mostly on Second Life, but a bit about OpenSim too. But he was the first to break this news yesterday, I guess, yesterday morning, my time, that Jessica Lyon, who we know quite well here actually, she's the founder and CEO and project manager, do a bit everything really, of Firestorm, and she's actually announced she's resigning. Now, she's no longer project manager, but she will remain as CEO for as long as needed, and will influence the wind at times, is the quote I've got here. Basically, she needs to take a back seat of management because of things in her personal life and things like that. So I don't think, as far as, say, Second Life users are concerned, this will affect Firestorm too much. But one thing I do know, and I'd like to pay tribute to Jessica in this sense, is that she heads up a team of about 80 developers. But although she has always been very keen on OpenSim, she has often said, well, I've got a whole team underneath me and not one of them is interested in OpenSim. They're all sort of Second Life fanboys. So with her moving into the background, I wonder just how up to date they will be keeping the OpenSim version of Firestorm down the line. I don't suspect there'll be any major changes for a while, but when I think that the new team will be maybe not predominantly Second Life and not so much OpenSim anymore, then I think one needs to be wary. But of course, we're always on the lookout for people who are working on new browsers, viewers, and projects like that. But anyway, headline of the week there really is that news about Jessica. Okay, moving on to our Safari roundups, and the first one I got here. This, of course, is Thirza's blog, and we need to turn it into a proper blog page. Yes. This is the first stop of Safari this week. It was the blog calls it Tosha's Bilbao Wow. Oh yeah, lovely with these names.
I love them. I love them.
Yep. Yeah, I know. Great work there, so right. So just looking at the pictures, we are doing this fairly quick. This for those of you who came to the Hypergrid International Expo last year, you may remember that Tosha had put up a miniature of the Bilbao Guggenheim Museum and talked about it. But this is actually the real thing in the venue, so to speak. Obviously, we've got a few pictures of Safaristas, or whatever we call ourselves these days. There is Tosha in the foreground there. You can always recognise her by her wonderful wig. Although she did have some competition this week. Somebody else turned up in the same wig. I was in camera and I thought, hang on, where's my Tosha going? Focusing my camera on the wrong wig. Anyway, carrying on. There she is again. All this is part of the forecourt, so to speak. Now, we're on the roof of the museum itself. A wonderful model of a cat there. James, as usual, finding an appropriate place to sit on the cat. And
can I just say that's not a cat, that's a dog. I got told off by Kurt for calling it a cat. Apparently it's a dog. I know, right?
It's a dog.
How is that a cat? How is that not a cat?
Yeah, the ears look feline. I don't know.
Maybe like it's a fox terrier.
Maybe it's a cog. I mean, the dog. It's a cog in the works. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay. Some outdoor stuff here, and Tosha again. This is when you actually go inside there. Any other comments on this, Thirza, by the way, while I'm rushing through?
I think James would agree with me that one of the great strengths of Tosha's build, apart from the fact she's a fantastic builder, is that she adds so much realism into it in the sense that she brings the real life history of the building, the point of the building, the sense of the architecture in. And I think that just makes it such a richer visit, because you feel like you've gone to the place almost.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a feeling, it's a real cultural expedition for us. We're not just going to sit on a beach or something, but we're actually learning some real life information about a fascinating place. And it's very uplifting always. Everything Tosha builds is very uplifting. Yeah. And her love of art really comes out here.
As you may remember, she was on last week's show and a few weeks ago on our two-part Safari Roundup season. There she is in the flesh again.
Of course, she spent plenty of time there amongst in the Bilbao region, there, the Basque region of Spain. She lives in Spain, although she's German. So it all comes out in what she's made. It's when you build what, it's a little bit like if you should write what you know, and the same applies. Building what you know really adds a huge dimension of realistic atmosphere to every place. So yeah, it was fun. She's always fun.
I've now swapped over to a 1 minute video, which is basically we're all taking a little bow at the end, and we all love we all know that you guys out there like seeing yourselves on screen at the end of safaris and stuff. Even Thirza, who revealed hiding behind Tosha there. This is where we also took a bow at the end, and I fired up the camera again. In fact, I've got other footage which we're not showing here, but thought we'd show you that.
It's always a miracle when we're all facing the same way.
Yeah, we take half an hour.
The big challenge of safari.
Right.
Yeah, I can't believe we're all actually looking the same way for once.
Yeah, and actually, I think there were quite a few more people on safari than are actually in that picture. Anyway, I'm going to move back to the. Oh, well, let it run.
Can I just give a shout out to Martin in the blue shirt that you can see in the middle of the screen?
Oh,
because he actually,
yeah.
Martin joins us from Australia, so he came in World a little earlier. He said, "What time is the event?" I said, "Well, it's beginning about half an hour." He said, "Oh, that's good." It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. He got up early to join us on safari. So
wow.
a big shout out to Martin for coming along.
Yes, we've got quite a lot of Australian-based things, so you invite them to something that's on my time and say, I have to remember to ask, is that breakfast time for you or very late at night? The international times are a mess, but when it comes to the Southern Hemisphere, it's a very different season as well, for that matter. Yeah. Okay, well, our second stop, or was it off? I can't remember which order we did the stop in. I think, our second stop anyway was NOLA, which is New Orleans.
That's the abbreviation for Louisiana.
Oh, right, New Orleans, right, Louisiana treat. Now, at this point, I'm going to, somebody who was on safari with us this week is the very person I have as a guest here tonight, which is Kimm Starr. Welcome again, Kimm.
Hi.
Now we're going to move on to a little bit about your New Orleans treat in a short while. But you were with us on Wednesday when we went to this other New Orleans build. So I thought we could connect them together, really. Just have a look back at the safari visit here in the pictures. Before we then move on and look at your version of New Orleans, which is...
I just loved her version as well. I loved her version. It was very realistic.
So Miss Kitty, sometimes called Miss Cal, is the person who built it. So tell us, Kimm, did you get to speak to Miss Kitty or Miss Cal? Did you get to speak to her before the safari group came?
Miss Cal, I ended up staying behind, and Ms. Cal and I talked for a couple of hours. We spent a lot of our misguided youth on Bourbon Street. Mm-hmm. And actually know some of the same people. So it was really such a great... And then she came back to my New Orleans after I toured hers. And it was really interesting to see the differences of our builds by two people that actually spent a lot of time there. Mm. She went for a very realistic version of New Orleans, and myself, I fell in love with Midjourney AI art this past 2023. Yeah. And so I'd say I wanted that when I created my New Orleans, I wanted that slick, colorful Midjourney AI look. And so I went that route. So it was really interesting to see the differences.
Absolutely, it's always interesting to see the same place portrayed by different people, because everything is in the eye of the beholder, of course. So
and
sense.
Every artist has a different style. So it was awesome, and she was fantastic. And I just got her book about her time on Bourbon Street in the mail, so I can't wait to read it. He's fantastic.
It was wonderful, yeah. I first went to New Orleans with my family. I think I was 9 years old, and I've been returning regularly. I love that city.
Oh, I've been there too many times.
Yeah, yeah.
I now I'm in my mid 50s, so it's a little different of a trip than it
Mm-hmm.
used to be,
Mm-hmm.
but it's my home away from home.
Oh, lovely.
I'm curious, James, what was it like to be a little boy there? What was your impression of the city?
Well, I'm still a little boy, pretty much, but it was exciting. It was
We
dynamic, and
know.
of course, Bourbon Street was just a constant flurry of activity. But I have three brothers and one sister, and we remember one of the G clubs. Is that the fair description of them? Had these little animated legs that were kicking out of a window, and we
Big
called them the
Daddies.
Oh, right.
yeah
Yes, of
yeah
course.
we called them the Kiki legs. So we always remember the Kiki legs.
That's where
I
Ms.
just like,
Cow. That's where Miss Cow worked.
Yeah.
Big Daddy.
Oh, really? Oh, Big Daddies. All right. Yep.
I, and just to mention also Ellen Tirazzo, who we've been to see her New Orleans build on OS Grid. She also is a New Orleans native, and she lives in Japan now, of course. But
Mm.
she also did the same thing. She built Bourbon Street, and she had the same legs sticking out of the window. I don't know if
Yep.
you remember. That
I
was
think I
about a
do.
Is
year
Yeah.
it still
ago, it must have
there?
been. But that was a
Is it still there?
beautiful region. It's currently offline, but I'm sure it'll be back online sure at some
Yeah,
time in the future. Another
unfortunately.
very beautiful build, and she's included also, of course, the there's like a fun fair that's ended up under the water, and she has that also as part of her New Orleans build, which is
Mm.
really spooky and interesting. Great stuff.
We've got a bit of fanfare on Kimm's build too, coming out, hidden away off the edge of the region. Okay, I'm going to stop that
Exactly.
film now, and I'm going to move to some film I took earlier in the week of Kimm's build of New Orleans, and that's about 10 minutes, and we'll be following with another film that Mike McHugh, who many of you know, also filmed. So we've got, that would take us about 20 minutes. So I'm going to keep it running, and we'll now sort of continue the conversation, as it were, with Kimm, with all the stuff behind it. After about half an hour at least, we're going to turn our focus to look at something called Animesh. And during the course of this program, you may see a few things like audience shots, and you just notice a lot of activity on the region in the studio here this week. Well, most of these strange characters are known as Animeshes, which we're going to be discussing in the second half of our interview with Starr, as it were. But we're going to start with, I guess it's New Orleans again, Jackson Square again, isn't it? So Kimm, welcome again, but properly this time. And we're looking, what inspired you, basically? Apart from your fondness, we've already seen that for New Orleans. What inspired you to do this virtually? And did you do it anywhere else, like Second Life or any other group before this?
No, what inspired me was Open Sim Fest 2023.
Yeah,
Their theme was jazz and blues. So, of course, where you going? You're going to New Orleans for
of
jazz and
course.
blues.
Mm-hmm.
So I did this build in 1 month's time.
Oh.
It was harrowing.
Mm.
Quite an achievement, though, I've got to say.
It was harrowing building this in 1 month. But I just love New Orleans, so it was a pleasure too. And now I'm incorporating my New Orleans build into a American Horror Show sim,
Mm.
Right.
which is an American television show. It's all dark and spooky, and I want to have that done for Halloween 2024.
So it won't be quite such a rush.
We'll have to have some special quest to Anne Rice's house.
Oh,
Yeah.
Anne Rice, I have incorporated Anne Rice in my New Orleans build.
Ah, yep.
She is there.
Very good.
And her vampires are there. There's lots of little
Wow.
spooks and ghouls, that you can find around. Oh, here we go. Here's
And
Anne
this
Rice and her vampires there.
and all
Have
this,
they
your
fun.
build is. Let's just remind everybody that your build is on Kitely. And so when you finish the build for Halloween, will it also be on Kitely, or do you plan to put it on some other grid?
Well, I am located in Kitely. Shout out to my Kitely peeps.
Yep.
Um, I reside on Kitely, and so it will be on Kitely. But it will be open to the public, so everybody will be able to hypergrid in.
Very nice.
Super.
Oh, dude, you took shots of my boneyard.
Yes, my camera accidentally climbed over the wall for a while. I mean, you've actually created a very immersive sort of experience by including what I'm sure a lot of people know is you get to the edge of the scrim, whatever that is, and you can use photographic walls to actually
I
give
know, I
the
spread out. I build all over the place, so
yeah. What
take
is
up a lot
that
of
thing?
space.
But what is this thing, by the way?
It's a
The creepy monster thing in the middle of the.
It's squid. There's a place in New Orleans called Pirates Alley. So in my New Orleans, I wanted it to have like the ghosties and ghoulies and, you know, just to spice it up a little bit.
Voodoo land, isn't it?
Oh, and there's voodoo and ghosts.
That pirate
All that
grid
fun
was on
stuff.
HIE, I recall. I'm sorry, OSFest. I remember
That's
visiting
correct.
that.
Yeah, this build was there.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a popular thing. I mean, the other place, of course, that also has a great New Orleans is Wildwood Bayou Grid, which
Yes.
has a great voodoo shop full of really
Well,
good
I need
stuff.
to go check these out. You need to send me
Yeah,
all the
we
links.
should definitely. And of course, that's just a beautiful
It
grid.
is.
It's really
I think we
not so
need
much a residential grid; it's a dancing grid. But they have some beautiful builds there, and they do Mardi Gras every year too.
Oh, I'd love to
So
check it out.
We could
need
almost
yeah.
we could almost create a hyperport to different versions of New Orleans.
Why not? Because this the interesting thing is everybody's done something slightly different according
Oh,
to
yeah, of
their
course.
taste, according to their style, and that's really the clever part of it because they complement each other. They don't really compete at all.
Yeah,
They just
exactly.
complement each other, and it's like
Exactly.
so many
Exactly.
different opportunities to experience the same city.
And I think it's the Wild Bull one I remember particularly because it wasn't so much the bill, but isn't it them that held the huge, the Mardi Gras? So, you were in
That's right.
whatever the street's called, I forget again, and, slowly all the floats and stuff were coming down towards you. And, that only happens at one time of year, of course, but it's part of the
Unfortunately,
magic.
when you took this video, you weren't on my land long enough to res everything.
Yes, yeah. Well, actually, I think that has been fixed by Mike's video, which
Yes.
follows this one.
My
Yeah.
friend Mike McHugh, he does great videography and machinima and has an island on Kylie
Yeah.
called Immersion Island. And a lot of fun
Indeed,
stuff
yeah.
to do over there as well. But
That's
he
right.
does-
We've covered him. We've covered him quite a number of times. He's such an artist. One of these days we'll get him as a guest on the show as well. But it's always a pleasure to look at
Whenever I see new
what he
clips from
does.
him, whenever I see new clips from him, I download them ready to go, so to speak. So it's very the OS Fest that you were mentioning earlier. I mean, I don't know how many people turned up for that, but it certainly did a lot of filming there. For example, it just
He
covered
did
everything.
great filming last year. I remember
Lots.
he filmed all
He
those
did
different
film-
medieval builds. Fantastic.
He did filming for everybody. And if you're an artist and you want somebody to film for work, because he is an artist, he just gets you and he takes the shots you want. And he's just really fantastic. Yeah, this is my boneyard that you shot.
Yeah, well, I think we pretty much have a version of this in the studio here today at the back, I believe, actually. So we got it all very transportable, obviously. There's a classical sort of, what do they call that? Gruesome, the clown that is evil, And of course the steamboats here, it's easy to get to the edge of the region, which of course, it's always worth, what you've done here is you've taken at least one side of the region, haven't you? And you put the steamboats on the water which is where they belong, of course.
Well, the rest of the region is going to be covered with American Horror Show, which
Right.
I've already started working on, but it's not there at the moment because I was working on New Orleans. So I needed that room, and also the OSCC conference. I was
Oh,
working
cool.
on builds for that. So I needed the room to spread out.
The other thing I love here, I missed it a bit there actually, is where you can see some of these frozen Animesh, as it were. But what I kind of like is the way you've, we're going to come to the Animesh shortly, which are these sort of, they're not NPCs, which are non-player characters, they're something else. But that's aside for the moment. I love the way you've put a lot of these in situ. So, you're passing a I was going to say a burger stand. I don't think it was, but you've actually got the person serving you moving behind it as part of the view. So as you walk along, you could be absolutely. Oh, this bit typical as well. The band on the street. You
Well,
could be on,
it's the
you could be on
Animesh
your
is
own. You could be on your own in this region, yet you feel like you're with other people because everywhere you turn, there's somebody serving something or playing in the street, and the sound.
exactly. It's a
Yeah.
compliment. It's a compliment to the build. It all works together in cohesion.
Yep.
I
Oh,
Yes,
love it, and
it's
I fell in love with. I
fabulous.
absolutely in love with NPCs when I first came to OpenSim. We didn't have those in Second Life.
no,
I
no.
always, I always felt like there was something missing, and so when I came to OpenSim and we were able to use NPCs, I jumped on it. NPCs are really heavy on your server, so you get a lot of lag on your land. So then Animesh came to the Firestorm viewer, and I jumped right on board. I am absolutely obsessed with it. I just think it
No.
complements every region it's on.
Absolutely. I mean, it just adds to the whole immersion. Oh, we'll come back to this later, but another Safari regular we've talked with, Nara Nuke, for example, always comes down to the question, why NPCs or why Animesh? And NPCs, of course, have the advantage if you can create very complex scripts for them, apparently. But as you say, they're almost as heavy as another avatar. So if you're on your own in a region surrounded by 20 NPCs, it's almost 21 avatars, which is quite a
Right.
heavy weight on a small
And
region.
now my friend Cooper Swizzle, who you had on your
Oh,
show
yes.
recently, and Carla Yoshikawa and Christine Nin of Ninja Custom Scripts, they created a script for Animesh called the Animaster. And
Oh, so
soon
an
it'll be
advert. There
it's
was an
going to be
advert for
released
that
this
in the
year.
film, yeah.
Yes, there's going to be it's going to be released this year, and you're going to be able to use complex scripts to script Animesh like you would do NPCs. So you can have Animesh then walk around your sim. You could have
Yeah,
cars driving around.
hang on a sec. I'm sorry. We've changed film, and of course, Mike put
This
some
is
sound on.
Mike Hughes.
Yeah,
Mike,
Mike has some wonderful jazz bass on it, but I've just muted it. So there we go. Yeah, this is
Mike,
now Mike's film, which is much more
Mike
slow.
does beautiful videography. He gets me. We've worked together for 2 years, and so he knew exactly. See, like with his film, you can see all the color.
Yeah.
And like that's what I was going for with my sim. When you go to my sim, it is full color. It has that slick, colorful feel of AI, which is where I generated all of my textures for this, including the textures for my Animesh in Midjourney. So I just wanted to see how that would play in World, and I just think it looks beautiful. It's fantasy.
Love it.
It's
That little fairy he's caught, he's caught all the animation here beautifully. Yeah.
it envelops you. It's just fantasy and wonderful, and I have really fallen in love with AI art this year. Mid Journey in particular.
It's funny. There's still a sort of bit of a debate about AI art or whatever because
Yes, I know, but
it's all generic, but you don't realize it. I mean, sort of
it,
it's
when
unique
you
enough, but
when you learn how to use it, I, as an artist, use it as a tool.
yeah, of course,
I'm
yeah.
not going to be afraid of it. It's here, it's now, it's wow. So you may as well just bite the bullet and learn how to use this new technology to your advantage. Because if you don't, everybody else is going to be ahead of you eventually. I love it. It helps me figure out scenes. It helps me create seamless textures. It helps me create my characters now. So I have nothing bad to say about AI art.
Yeah. How are you?
Clear the scene. Look at that.
How complex is it for you in terms of? I mean, obviously, all this AI stuff is generated by command lines. You know, is what you tell it to do. How easy do you find it to actually specify what you want and how accurate are the results? How much work is involved in
You have
doing
to
it?
you have to play with it for a while and learn how it thinks and it learns how you think and you eventually start really making it work for you. Oh, this is a shot of my Irish pub that will be out by the end of the month.
Yeah, I think I went in there in the previous film very briefly.
Yeah.
It's very. I
Yep,
think yeah, we're going in, but look at it. Yeah.
all of the glass has mesh
Ah,
letting.
Irish
It's
Irish
just
dancers.
this was a labor of love. This little Irish pub. It was a labor
Oh,
of love. My
pretty.
father, God rest his soul, reminded me every goddamn day that I was an Irishman.
Irish
So, yeah,
Oh,
well, an
okay.
Irish woman. um, and this was a little labor of love.
Yeah,
Fantastic. All the
captures
posters.
all.
I love it. Well
Yeah,
done.
it captures all the mood, the signage there. You know, that's just like the real. Oh, well, actually, not just Irish pubs, but pubs are. You know, they got all the memorabilia on the wall, and
Exactly. And the
usually,
old guys in the corner sharing a pint.
yeah, and usually, you know, if it's not advertising beer and stuff, it's actually the signage is local. You know, so every time you go into a pub in a sort of village somewhere, you've probably got a whole wall that's the history of the village almost. You know, so you can see it.
Uh-huh.
You can see it in that. And of course, this is really interactive. I mean, because if you're standing in world in this position, you can hear the music coming out of, I guess it's coming out of the pub, but I mean, it also blends in
No,
with
there's music and sound all over my Sims because I
yeah,
feel like I really want you to have an immersive experience when you come to my Sims. So there's music, there's ambient sound,
yeah,
there's people talking, there's just even down to like the tap sounds of the little boys tap dancing in the background. You can
yeah.
hear the Coke bottles that are attached to his sneakers, which is something that the little kids do in New Orleans.
I
They
love it.
attach
I'll just interrupt on this bit. We've got the shadow walking across the building here, which is extraordinary. It's like a monster, a
Brilliant.
shadow of a monster.
Yeah.
Looks like
Wow.
Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Nosferatu.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
tell us, Kim, do you get it?
Kim, do you do the sounds yourself? I know you put them down
Yes,
yourself,
I do.
but I mean,
As a matter of fact, a lot of the people that are talking, it's
yeah,
me.
right.
It's me doing voiceovers, and then I use a sound system and I change the voices and
Right.
or I will initiate friends to do it as well.
Yeah, there's a
So
chap called Lauren Tone, who we know quite well. He's been on the show a few times, and like Dizzy Banjo used to be in Second Life, he just specialises in environmental sound.
yes.
You know, placing sounds so as you move around the virtual environment, the audio changes for you. So I just wonder, you know, that's a job in itself almost. So if you're doing that bit yourself, it's
I'm
yet
doing it
more.
all. I'm doing it all. But I
You're a
really
hurricane, aren't you? You're a
and
hurricane
I love
working.
that. I just absolutely love it. It's my favorite pastime. I mean, listen, I
And
do have a shop on the Kylie Market, but I only have about 50 items on there. I have made thousands of items. So it's not about making the stuff to sell it. I give away a ton of stuff. As I think
do you get a lot of visitors, Kim? Do you get a lot of visitors to come see this this
No,
beautiful art?
because
So
no, I did at the Open Sim Fest. Mainly, and we've spoke about this. Mainly, I am collaborating and building with other people. So
right,
it's not so much. It's not so much about being on the sim and having people in and out. I usually do these works for events. But now I'm like now that like the slow season is going to come up, I'm going to concentrate on building, and I want to concentrate on this build. I am going to open this build uh, by the end of the month. People can come in and find me building there, and feel free to ask me any questions and have a chit chat. I'm fine with that. Just want to clean up my
that's nice.
backyard.
You told me when we were talking the other day, you told me something I thought was really extraordinary. We were talking about movies and things and TV shows, and you actually said to me that you will put a film on the big screen and watch it while you're building in World. And I thought,
Absolutely.
how can you? I'm not a multitasker. I'm really not. I can't conceive how you could actually watch and take in a movie and still be building and
I'm
paying
probably
attention
I'm
to detail.
talking on the phone and talking to people in worlds. Probably like ADD or something. I don't know. But multitasking is my game. I just do a
Jealousy
ton of
here.
things, do a ton of things at one time. But I have to. When you have to build something like this in a month, you don't have time to lay down on the couch to watch a movie.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to do everything at one time.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun build, and if you've been to New Orleans, you're really going to enjoy it because all of the music, and I've incorporated some famous musicians, New Orleans musicians, into the sim, and all the sights, all the sounds.
You
So
know,
it's enjoyable.
Kim, I have a question. So being on Kitely to let people visit your region, that's going to cost a little bit of money, right?
No,
Do you have to open
no,
up to
I said,
hypergrid visitors?
yeah, I open it up to hypergrid visitors, but it doesn't cost me any more money to do that.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't know if that was the case years ago, but no longer.
okay. I thought I still had that on mine, so that's
Yeah,
always something I worry about. Yeah.
there are
No, it's
particular there are particular things about Kylie that
yeah,
crop up now and again, but
definitely worth a thing checking out, Kim, before you invite too many people, and just in case you
it
haven't
does not cost any
read.
more. I think what it is
Just
if
in case you
people,
haven't read the small print.
no,
Elon suddenly sends you a very big bill
Ah,
for all your food.
no, that's not true.
exactly.
If people put their sim into kind of like a static position where they don't have to pay a monthly fee, or it's a very low monthly fee. If you open it up to the hypergrid and people come in, then you're going to have to pay your monthly fee.
Oh, okay.
So if you put
Yeah.
right, so but me, my Sims are all open. I have all of my collaborating friends over, and you guys were over, and all of that. It doesn't cost me any more than the $20 a month that I pay for this.
That's great to
Yeah,
know.
that's good. That's good.
That's really heartening to know, because that does sometimes that does concern people about going to visit. They don't want to visit a sim and then find that they've incurred a whole bunch of charges on the kind
No,
person
no,
who
not
has
at
left
all.
their sim open.
In fact, I
Okay,
absolutely.
I think we're reaching the sort of halfway point now. So I'd like to switch you, Kim, if you will. I'd like you to run your own little slideshow that you brought along here. I'm sure James will put
Sure.
our camera on that. And do you want me to show that virtual vignette, the slideshow? Do you want me to see that first, or do you want to move straight
Yeah,
into
because that was the start of Virtual
it?
Vignette. It's how Virtual Vignette was
Okay.
born.
Right, well, I'll just show this little film too. It's only a minute, but
Yep.
this at the moment is in that region over the wall where you told me not to go. So I went, didn't I?
got the show if you've got the dime. So hurry, look them over, the lady without a head. There are thin ones, there are fat ones, they're all inside. Dip and tip the pinheaded people. A sample of the marvelous tricks you'll see for the price of a small thin dime. You get the whole show now if you hurry, hurry, hurry.
There we go, indeed. A bit politically incorrect in places there, but I mean, this is a dated, this is another time and place, isn't it? So maybe you can start the slideshow, because I noticed your first slide seems to be pretty much the same.
It's the vintage sideshow, and I had been working on Animesh for probably about a year, working out all of the problems that I came across with it and figuring it out. And my one Inworld and real life friend, Eileen, was telling me, you have to put this on the market. You have to put these things on the market. And I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. Definitely not ready. Well, I then created the vintage sideshow, and she insisted. She was like, listen, you're a contender now, so you have to put it out there. You can't do it unless you get in the ring. So this was the beginning of virtual Vignette, was the vintage slideshow. And again, here's one of my mermaid, animated mermaid. The medicine showman, he was a big hit because he goes in so many different sims. Western, vintage, carnival.
Yeah.
This woman, she was one of my first that I created with all mid-journey textures. I think she just came out beautiful.
See, when you say all mid-journey textures, you're talking about the textures on her body and the clothes, and everything was
Her
done.
clothes, her hair, her face, her tattoos, everything generated in mid-journey. This guy as well, a vintage clown vignette. I have that is not yet on the market, but will be available soon. All of his textures were generated in Midjourney as well. And Midjourney does a beautiful vintage texture. Speaking of vintage, this is Josephine Baker, the queen of burlesque from like the 1920s.
She's wonderful. The banana thing is a bit.
Oh my God.
Josephine Baker is wonderful. Yeah.
And just so much fun to create this. I started a series of vintage magician stages. And if you see like this, the woman that's all cut up, each individual piece is animated Animesh. And again,
so she really is cut up.
Really
yeah, she's cut up.
Yeah. Wow.
That's brilliant.
You're not meant to do that. I thought there was another way they did that trick rather than actually get. Never mind.
Again, another little vintage magician.
That's a good face as well on that one. The beard
and little creepy devils. They were fun to make. Now, this is my favorite artist ever. It's Frida Kahlo.
Yeah.
Oh, she's absolutely wonderful. So I had to do a vignette. In a perfect world, when I have like 18 days to a week, I would really love to do a complete, like at least quarter sim of walking through her paintings. It's definitely, it's rattling around up here in my attic, but we'll see. We'll see when that happens.
Yeah. That's a beautiful idea, yeah. Wow.
Here's the interior. And here is Frida herself. And she's just, I love everything that's a little dark. You know, and Frida, she was in pain and depressed and had such a tough life, and yet she was surrounded by all this beauty and all this color and all this art.
Yeah, just
So,
you wouldn't from that picture you wouldn't know anything.
right? She was just, you know,
Yeah.
she was a marvel. Absolutely wonderful. This is, I actually have a New York sim, and I know, Thurza, you don't like when
Oh,
people have their sims closed
no,
down.
no, that
This
club. Yeah,
was,
CBGB's way.
this was something like
Always sad, yeah.
when I first came over to Open Sim and didn't really know how to build that great, and that was about 7 years ago. And so it's not like I looked back on it and I'm like, oh my God, everything's going to be rebuilt. Not necessarily so. It just needs to be zhuzhed a little. But yeah, this is an entire block, the entire block build. And we all know CBGB's is, you know, the home of punk rock in New York City.
Yep.
Ramones. That was my first live
It's
show.
very Ramon, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was my first live show. I actually saw them at,
You actually have done an Animesh there with Joey, have you?
absolutely.
That
Yeah, it
was
was
solid, yeah.
the Ramones were my first live show in 1983. Yeah.
Blitzkrieg Bop. I was like, can anybody sing a 2-minute song called Blitzkrieg Bop? Loved it.
Well, their song Rockaway Beach. I live 5 minutes from Rockaway Beach, so
Oh, right.
they're from New York. They're from where I'm from.
Yeah.
And
So,
this is
so
the scene.
Kimmy, tell us something regarding your sort of transition into doing this kind of work in OpenSim. Did you have, before you discovered virtual worlds, did you already have a background in graphic art, and were you an artist, or are you self-taught? What's the story there?
I am an artist in the real world. I have been doing graphic art for 35 years now. And back in 2007, I was about 38 years old, and I was watching an episode of CSI New York, and they had a murder mystery where police had to go into Second Life to find the murderer. And I was enthralled with the whole show. And at the end of the show, they're like, well, Second Life is a real virtual world on your computer. Go to secondlife.com.
Yeah.
But the nerd in me galloped to the computer. I was so excited. And I went in World and realized, I was like, wow, this is an art medium unto itself.
Yeah.
So that's what it captivated me right away. I then called my friend, my real life friend, who is also an artist, to come in and check it out, and we've been in ever since. I mean, granted, throughout the years, you ebb and flow, and I did. I ebbed and flowed in Second Life for many years, and then one day I was walking through Second Life and saw a billboard that was talking about Open Sim. Why spend all the money on Sims here when you can go to Open Sim? Well, now I'm like, what is Open Sim?
Right.
So I started Googling that and came across Kitely, and that's Kitely and Open Sim Grid, and that's how I ended up here. And now it's a lot less ebb and flow. I'm in World a lot now because I'm in my mid-50s. I'm driving 55, and I'm not hitting the pubs anymore, so I'm not out at the pubs anymore. So it's
So the pub's loss is our gain. That's what you're saying. All right.
yeah. So now I am I'm more into being a homebody and working at home and enjoying that a lot.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, exactly. It's bound to happen to us all.
So just is that your last slide, by the way, or
Well, this is a scene from the up and coming American Horror Sim. So this
Right.
is a scene from Freak Show, and this is
Oh,
a
yeah, there we are.
scene from Hotels, the season Hotel. with Lady Gaga. So yeah, it's gonna be
Is that
a fun sim.
Lady Gaga, did you say?
Yeah, she was in American Horror Show. So
Oh,
when that
I'm
sim
not
is
familiar with
ready,
it. Yeah.
I'll be calling on Thurza to come in HG Safari through
Yeah.
through it. It'll be
Sounds
fun
cool.
for the Halloween
Yeah.
month.
That woman is turning out to be very versatile as well. Singing
So
with
Lady Gaga and
everybody
Rob,
from, what's his name, where Andy Williams was it, to Jagger and everybody.
So is that another advantage of OpenSim that if you make things that could be even vaguely described as copyrighted in Second Life, they could be people can get quite hot under the collar. You know,
well,
obviously
people
we just
are allowed to make fan art, and that is what I'm
yeah,
doing. I'm making fan
right,
art. I don't sell any of that. In fact, most of the items that I make for the American Horror Sim, I'm going to give away for free. There's going to be tons of gifts as far as
true,
that goes. As you know, so no, I'm not selling anybody's effigy, and
sure.
not doing that. But you're allowed to make fan art, and I am a fan girl, so
The interesting thing is
Perfect.
about some of these animations, the likeness is so obviously there, but it's like in a book where it's no, the disclaimers there saying no similarity to real persons or dead persons is intended. But
Exactly.
it's so long as it's not photographic, so long as it's not an actual photographic replica or something that they get trademark or copyright on, you can do what you
no,
want.
it's an artistic
Moving,
replica.
I'm
It's
moving.
very much like the cities, isn't it? The different versions of New Orleans. None of them are
Yeah.
exactly a precise
Exactly,
copy.
exactly. It's my version of them.
I'm moving my camera around a bit here now. I know the audience can see this, but we're entering the sort of getting on for the final 15 minutes really. So looking at the Animesh now. I think James has preloaded a number of scenes around us actually, so we haven't got any film. We've got just the live action in the studio here. I'm going to start with. I mean, I know that you use a lot of different tools for making Animesh, so we will move to
Oh
that. But
God.
I'm going to start by. I think James actually made a camera angle for this. There's, at the far right of the stage, as the audience is looking at us, there's a chap dancing away in a gown, and that face is an actor from Britain from way back called Marty Feldman, and he had a very unique face. But I also, when I was about 17 years old and first came to London, that is a long, long while ago. But I worked for him for a while actually, and he really, in real life, he really did. He came out of a door and you jump because his face was very, his eyes.
I always loved him from Young
Yeah,
Frankenstein on, so yeah,
yeah.
I'm a fan.
But yeah, I don't know whether James has managed to zoom in on that at all. But you were talking about, rather Thurza raised the issue of copyright, but as I say, that is
Like I
obviously not.
said, I'm a fangirl. I'm a
Yeah, yeah,
fangirl, and it's fan art. And I don't sell any of this. This is
yeah.
all for entertainment purposes only. Um,
I'm using him as a kind of quick example here. Like you can maybe tell us how you put it together because well, I know you've got the face in somewhere, obviously.
I
The
want to
costume,
preface it with. I want to preface the Animesh conversation with
yeah,
so many people are intimidated by the process of making Animesh, and they're constantly bombarding me with, "How do I do it? How do I do it? How do I?"
yeah,
There are dozens of ways to make Animesh, and one of my examples is on the front of the stage. This morning, I created that little Animesh on dancing on the front of the stage with
matchstick man.
Inworld prims. It's just I call him Prim Man. And I then uploaded him as a collada into my computer and brought him into Blender and I rigged him. You can also rig in a program called Mixamo, which is completely free
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and very easy to use online. And there's also a new one that's very similar to Mixamo called ActorCore.
Oh,
So both of these are free. Like I know Thursday you told me Rigify just, horrified you. So, but with Mixamo and Anticore, you have absolutely no problem rigging at all. Anybody could do it. But the one program that, and for anybody starting out, that I would tell people to get is Bento Buddy or Avistar.
Oh yes.
Bento Buddy is my go-to. There's a man, Bin Bash from Second Life, that created this wonderful tool, and I really feel like everybody should get it because there are so many people now that are doing mocap animation online.
Yeah.
And you need a tool like Bento Buddy to convert it into a Second Life or OpenSim version.
Yeah.
Not to mention, there are tons of mesh all over the internet that you can rig and then convert via Bento Buddy. So I have not enough good words to say about that program.
Is Bento Body a plugin for something, or is it a separate software?
It's a plugin for Blender.
Oh, it is, right, okay, yeah.
Go into Second Life. You would go to the Second Life marketplace, purchase it there, go in World, collect it, and then open it up in World, and it will give you all the instructions on how to install it into your Blender. And I've been using it now for probably about 3 or 4, I guess about 4 years now. And I love it. And it does, you can weight paint with it. You can rig in it. You can convert pretty much any skeleton to an OpenSim or Second Life version. You can convert all animations. And we're really lucky now because there are so many independent mocap creators online.
Yeah.
So animation is not something that we have to be lacking in OpenSim.
This is you mentioned to me the other day when we were talking too. This is also important because this is actually a real advert for OpenSim, because as you explained to me, if you did this simple character weighs very little and works fine here in OpenSim, but if you were to take that to Second Life, they charge you a sort of don't they? They don't just charge you for the weight of the the one.
They don't only charge you more money to upload it, but you are charged land impact.
That's it.
So,
yeah.
I don't know if you have a shot of that the ice woman that little scene that I have over on the side of the stage.
Oh right.
Oh, the one with the red dots above them. Yes, I see it.
Okay, you see the blob, the sphere?
Yes. Sure.
That is a 1 prim regular sphere. Once you hit the animated Animesh button in Second Life, it shoots up to 16 land impact.
Wow.
So now the second ice woman, the first ice woman there, that's the Animesh quality that I bring into OpenSim. She would be 70 land impact in Second Life.
Yeah, rip off.
Are these the characters behind Mal and myself?
No, they're on the left side.
Right, in the middle.
Close to the audience. Can you see them now, James? There's 4 red circles above their heads with numbers in them.
I'm not seeing
Yeah, as
them.
you're looking out from the stage, they're on the right.
Okay.
And where there's an entrance to the beach, so to speak. And
Right, the entrance to the beach. You see them?
So you're just to see if I've got this right, Kimm. So
I see
just
them.
a regular
Sorry.
prim, a regular sphere. Once you make it an Animesh, it goes from being 1 prim to having a land impact of 16.
Right, so they
Is that
add
correct?
they add 15 land impact. And so now the first ice woman Animesh that I have there, that is the caliber of Animesh that I bring into OpenSim. And it's 70 land impact in Second Life. The
Well, I'm
second
just
I
camming in, and I can see now the difference in quality. You can see that
And
the
one,
there's a diagram to the left of them as well showing them.
second one is remeshed, and so you can see she's not as crystal clear.
exactly.
And
It's a
so
bit
she's
more crinkly.
now the third one is at 27 land impact, and it's about a whisper of what she should look like.
Oh yeah, the quality is much different.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
edges on the
So
outline too.
I kind of feel like, and I do have a shop over in Second Life, but I only have a couple of items in there at the moment because I just opened it. I kind of feel like I want to tell Second Life, you created such a wonderful tool for all of us, this Animesh that so many of us are obsessed with, and you penalized us for loving it. So do something about that. I don't know. I mean,
Take your Animesh to OpenSim. There you go. Perfect
oh,
answer.
and that's what I did. I brought it to OpenSim, and everybody really likes it. And but I would like to make Animesh for Second Life, but people have to be really picky about how many Animesh they're going to want on their land because of the land impact problem.
You bet.
And of course, now Second Life, of course, doesn't even have NPCs, as you mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
When obviously you saw we could have NPCs and they can do wonderful things here too. But what? Well, I know the answer, but what is the most compelling thing for you to have chosen to develop with Animesh as opposed to with the initial NPCs you saw? What is your?
Well,
I mean, obviously, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
because of the wear on the server, because you do get very laggy. But besides that, my Animesh is mesh. You can go into Blender and mold it into anything you want. You can create beautiful sculpted monsters, rig them, bring them in. Like I did this morning, even as simple as creating a prim stick man, and you can rig that and bring it in. So with Animesh, there is no limit to your imagination. Whereas with a NPC, it's what you put on your body that shows
exactly.
in the NPC. But with Mesh, oh my God, you can manipulate Mesh any way you want, and rig it and bring it in, and it's walking around on your sim. I love it. It's just
don't you, Kimmy? Don't you think how scary it would be if you didn't have OpenSim, where you could practice and experiment with things? Imagine if you had to do all that you do
I would
in
never,
Second Life. Yeah.
Never.
I'm going to tell you straight out, I would never have become the builder that I have become in the last 7 years had it not been for OpenSim. We have the land that's really dirt cheap. You have the land. You're given 4 full sims for next to nothing, and your imagination, and you can really go wild. And it really pushed me to be a better builder, and I'm learning every day, and I love collaborating with everybody in OpenSim, and I love all the festivals. We just really had such a fun time the last few months, and meeting all the new people. It really is fabulous. And I love your show, Thirza, the HG Safari.
Yeah.
And really, you meet a ton of people, and everybody is so creative here.
I'd like to switch over to some. Well, question is all curious me. We were talking about mocap animations, which of course you can pick up all over the place, and they're probably better than any other animation. How when you've got your rigged character made of mesh, of course, the Animesh. How do you animate them? Do you take a particular character and put an animation in it, and is that interchangeable with another animation?
Yes.
Or is it
yes.
complete? Yeah, so you sort of drag the script of an animation,
You drag your animation into the Animesh in the edit position, and then you add the Animesh scripts. And I have several that I use. There are Animesh scripts that will just run a cycle of all of the animations in.
Yeah.
It would just be the body animation. And then I also have Animesh script that will work several different body parts at one time simultaneously.
Oh,
So
so you can script the arms separate from the face.
you can
Yeah.
script, yeah, so they can be talking and singing and doing all sorts of things at one time, which is really nice.
I think we should
Kimm,
just
Kimm,
hire you. We need to hire you full time as a
Yeah.
stage person.
Kimm, are these still BVH
looking-
files?
I'm sorry?
Are these
One
still
more?
BVH files, the animation format?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I
okay.
convert all mocap animation that I find online. I convert it in Bento Buddy, and it converts it to a BVH file.
Okay.
And I still,
I have another
Go ahead.
question for you, Kim. Is it hard to find? I mean, obviously there are loads and loads of human form animations out there. Pretty much everything you can imagine. There's an animation already present here in OpenSim. But what about animal animations? Is that harder to find? Are they harder to make? Do you have any
not
thoughts about that?
Yeah, the quadruped animations aren't as abundant as humanoid, but they're out there. They are out there, so you can find animal animations all over the place as well. But they're not as abundant as the humanoid animations.
I guess it's down to the animals and how cooperative them are. You
I know,
want to strap on motion capture onto a nice friendly lion. I think it might be not be
I
as simple as you
started-
think.
I've started creating animal animesh as well because I'm getting a lot of people asking for that. I did a couple of Christmas vignettes that had reindeer in them, and so I'm working towards it. But again, 18 days in the week would really be good.
I definitely need a cat one as well. I like my pussycats. I'm looking back. I think James has got a shot here. While we were panning round, I personally panned round. You can't tell, to the very back, where you've got the vignette bring more amusement to your world. And I thought that this is great when they came in on, because you've got this one builder light trap at the very top. It's literally hanging off the letters of the sign. And then you've got the paint dripping all the way to the floor from what looks like a spilt can. You've got the lady on the high wire actually looking like she's worried about falling off. And then on the ground, you've got the guy with the stilt legs. And all of them are very individualistic. You can immediately put your mind into the character that all three of them, especially the guy who looks like he's going to fall off.
That was my whole thing. Like I have a big imagination, and I really love making small vignettes. And a vignette is just a diorama. It's a diorama of whatever's jingling around in my head at that time. And that is part of a build I did for the OSCC conference to advertise virtual vignette. And I thought it would be real cool to bring here as well.
Well, I think it's wonderful. And to the left of that, we've also got, where it's just another small set, you've got the devil there on the settee. But
We got the big guy in the
funny
house.
because a friend of ours, Snowbody, Cortez, is often on safari with us. He's actually here in the audience, and he's sitting casually looking like one of the Animesh.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He's blending in there, so the proof positive that you can't always tell the difference, actually.
Yeah, but I have a wide variety of Animesh available. I also take requests. I do custom work. I don't do custom work for a ton of money, so everything is really affordable. I'm not doing it to make a living. I do charge in the marketplace to offset my cost here. And
the marketplace, by the way, the marketplace you're mentioning is the Kitely marketplace, of course.
Kitely marketplace
Yeah.
is fantastic, tons of stuff, and they ship out to all OpenSim grids.
Yeah,
All-
so yeah.
It's all transferable.
I'm just thinking, looking at, I mean, I've known people, musicians, for example, and they want some backing singers. Now, the left of the stage, probably the only bit we haven't cammed in on yet, or at least I haven't. We've got two backing singers in front of mics, so, doing a very convincing job of the way real backing singers would work. So, you can imagine, I know a lot of performance in Second Life especially, but even in Open Sim is miming, But in terms of making it convincing, you mime to a track and there's backing singers and stuff like that. So you can actually, a singer who's just a single artist but wants to put on a show, they can pick up these things and set up a whole stage set immediately, not just a visual stage set, but a stage set full of a band and backing singers.
Absolutely. So yeah, hit me up if you have anything you want customly done. I'm always
I remember that Karima Hoysand, when she was doing her build with the goth look to it, she was very happy that you made a couple of goth figures for her that really, it made all the difference to the build. You're absolutely right. The Animesh really, as the word says, it animates the whole build. Such fun.
I had so much fun making those, and Karima is wonderful. I want to give a shout out to Kosheri Mahana too. She's one of my co-builders. We are working on a project together now. We're doing a Wild West build. So that'll be coming at the end of 2024 most likely. We are doing a huge Wild West and Indians and cowboys and the whole 9 yards, the whole kit and caboodle. So that's Koshari Mahana from Coopersville in Kitely.
Do you? You suddenly brought that up again. You mentioned earlier when we were looking at the pictures, the medicine seller, wasn't it? I think, and you said, "Oh, he's great because you can fit him in here, fit him in there, like the Wild West." When you are creating, just at the top of your head, a new Animesh and a new character, as it were, obviously when you go to multi-Feldman, you're creating multi-Feldman, but when you're doing something like out of thin air, do you consciously try and make animations that you can recycle in different locations?
No.
Obviously the animations you can, but I mean
absolutely not. Whatever pops in my head, I just do.
Right.
Like I said, I have about 50 vignettes on the market, but I have made thousands of items. I have I have 4 worlds full, chock full. One day, Thirza, I'll give you an impromptu walkthrough because I think you and you as well now.
Oh me, please.
I think you get a kick out of it. I mean, literally thousands of items.
Oh, now.
Something you weren't expecting.
Yes, he hasn't used it for a while actually. That Kimm is Beams sitting on the wrong button.
No, not wrong.
It's a way of telling me that I was watching the clock here, and actually, we're 4 minutes over time. I better say it soon, but not.
I seriously can talk a dog off a meat truck. I tell you.
I gather this, but it's all wonderful. It's all wonderful to learn. I think we should. I think I should a quick beg here. I mean, I think we should keep not all the stuff all around the studio here, but I think we should keep. I think we should keep your audience in situ for a few weeks.
It's all yours. Keep away.
Lovely. And can we also beg something else? Can we ask Kimm in the future, please, would you come back and see us again? We would love to have you as a guest again on the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was so much fun, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was really a good experience this weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I think we certainly know where to come if we need to know more about Animesh. But also, you mentioned, the collaborations of things. The idea that we can have you and somebody else who are working on something together to come in. That'd be great.
It would be. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anytime.
And take people on safari there too, for that matter. So yes, I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of you. And what I've seen here today is just, when I was in there filming, it's all absolutely wonderful. And the Animesh have intrigued me. I just like the idea of building up an inventory of them and sticking them everywhere I need a crowd, you know. Not that I
I
do
know.
need the crowd
I'm
anyway, but
obsessed. I'm obsessed.
yeah. There's a very classic thing. I forget. It's not Animesh. There's somebody built a sort of a vignette which is lots of photographers taking pictures, like, you know, outside the red carpet of a movie or something.
Uh-huh.
And I keep seeing it all over the place, and you know, the idea is great, but the moment I think I look at it, I think of the execution, and think, it's a bit cruddy, really, isn't it?
I created a new one. It's on my market. It's in my market on the
Right.
Kitely market.
What do people do if they go to the kind of market? By the way, do they look up Kimm Starr? Is that
They
your
look up virtual vignette or
right?
Kimm Starr or Kimm Starr. Two
Right,
M's, two R's.
right. KIMMSTARR or
Correct.
vignettes. Okay, well that's great. So we know where to send them. Well, it's been absolutely wonderful having you here, but we do
Thank
have to
you.
wrap up now, as you probably heard from the racket.
Nearly the middle of the night for you guys.
Yes, well. It's not quite the middle of the night, but it's getting late. We like to log off in time for a bit of a rest before bedtime, so to speak. And
All right.
Thursday's even more an hour ahead of me, so but it's all the fun of the fair, so to speak. So I'd like to thank you again, Kimm, our special guest this week, and do come back soon. We'll be in
I
touch. But
definitely
thank you
will.
very much for being here,
Thank you for having
and
me.
I hope we get lots of people watching and learning something from all this. I'd also like to thank our tech person, James Atloud. You've heard a bit from I normally say any questions, James, but he has asked a few today.
Yeah, I already asked. I asked a few questions during the course,
Yeah,
so and
so
I'm here to ring the alarm. That's my
you're
job.
here to ring the alarm and
Right.
film the cameras and do the noises, yeah. Okay, so thanks, of course, to James Outloud for
Yep.
man of all trades there on the AV stuff and everything else. And where would where would we be without the wonderful Thirza Ember as my co-host? Thank you, Thirza.
It's been a great show. Thank you so much, Mal, for organising everything. It's a great show.
Yeah. Okay, and we will be returning same time, same time, hopefully the same place next week. But if we're not in the same place, we'll have made other extensions. But it will be a special show. I'm not quite sure how we're going to format it next week. But next week, James has kind of rounded up a load of people working on video. Sadly not Mike, but basically we've got about, I think it's 3 guests and James himself who are actually working on video in OpenSim. I mean, that's Jessica, isn't it? Pet Love, and Marcus Llewellyn, and James himself. So it'll be a bit of a sort of look at the art of making machinima and video and stuff in world.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It's great.
Yeah. So that'll be a bit of an unusual show. You'll probably be, instead of seeing an Inworld slideshow, you'll probably be seeing photos of everybody's setup in their studios, you know, or something. But we will find out. A lot of what's going to happen there is a mystery myself. I've got a feeling I can just swap seats with James and let him host it. I don't know. Anyway, we will be back same time, same planet, real life planet is next week. So for now, I'm just going to wish you all a very good morning, a very good evening, a very good afternoon, or a very good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. We're out of here. Thanks.
Yay!